This video is about how to cultivate good habits, whether to support you getting the relationship of your dreams, or having your first million, or having your body more in shape, whatever your goal is. If you want to know more about how habits are formed and know about them before they kick in, then I suggest to watch my first video to improve your spidey senses about bad habits. Otherwise, let's get started. Let's take the habit of starting your day with scrolling in your smartphone. This is an important one because the studies show that 80% of smartphone users spend the first 15 minutes of their day using their phone. Now, you may wonder what's wrong with that. I do it too when it kickstarts my brain. I feel up for things. What could be the problem about it? And well, there's a whole list. First of all, you start your day with a feeling of urgency, with a feeling of stress. And especially if you're reading the news and all these dark information already as the first message, as the first seed that you put into your mind early in the morning, is a great way to continue in the stress response, which, I don't have to explain, is not really the best friend of your health, your well-being. Secondly, also related to that stress response, there is also the hormonal function of the blue light that we are receiving from the screen. So our brain works better, our cognitive functions work better when we are a bit more in tune with the nature. It can be as simple as, working your way up into a full day by adjusting to the natural lights. So basically our hormonal system and our brain likes it better that we take it a bit more gradually instead of diving into a stress response early as the first thing in the morning. Third, and for me personally most important of all, is it really deprives you from a morning ritual that may work more to your benefit. I don't know what's your thing. It can be 7 minutes of high intensity training before you hit the shower. It could be a little meditation, or it could be just watching the sky and contemplating what you want to do that day. We can all come up with a morning ritual that really, gives the tone to the day. The rest of the day follows the calm, the serene, the constructive, the elevating tone of the day if we have a healthy morning ritual. And last but not least, this kind of addictive behavior to your smartphone that already kicks in early in the morning deprives you from some meaningful moments in your life too. Not only a morning routine, but also surprises, like an intimate hug with a loved one, or like a rays of sunrise through the windows, or just a little chat with someone who's bringing food, or running an errand for you that you encounter early in the morning, your neighbor. So these are the actually rewarding surprises that are hidden in the course of the day, and when we are in this position, it's a bit hard to notice them. So if these few arguments, and trust me, there are many more if you do your research, are convincing enough for you, here comes the question: so what do I do? What do I do? It's a strong habit. I really like, a part of me really enjoys doing it, especially if I feel grumpy in the morning. That's my thing to do. So how do I change this habit? Now, we have already established in our first conversation, in the first video, that mindfulness around the cue, the trigger of the habit, is very, very important. So what makes you do this? What makes the habit to kick in? And this is a bit hidden because, as I explained in the previous video, there's an autopilot response once the cue is there. So going with our example, it can be indeed feeling a bit heavy or grumpy or not so excited about a new day to begin. Negative thoughts coming up, maybe you didn't have a good sleep, maybe it became a habit almost that you wake up a little bit grumpy. So distracting yourself, pumping yourself up with stimulation with the smartphone may be a kind of a balm that is working against you, but a kind of a balm for that situation. So the cue is the unpleasant feeling that I feel when I'm waking up. Let's work with that. Now, if that cue is not that easy to find for you, not that easy to admit to yourself or recognize in the flow of your life, I would suggest put your thinking cap on, get a pen and paper, and really scan through your day. When these bad habits kick in, what are you doing? What have you done before? What is the time of the day? Who are you with? What was happening? Really analyze the situation. Break down the practicalities around that situation, and do it for many times that this bad habit was kicking in, and see the commonalities, and eventually you will find that there is one thing, one moment, one feeling, one happening, even one person that may kickstart this whole autopilot repeat situation for you. Next thing you want to do is to disrupt the process. There's the cue, there's the autopilot response. We want to disrupt that process. What can you do with the phone example? You can literally put your phone into flight mode, lock it away, so that it is an effort. You have to jump out of your bed and walk and turn on and so forth to reach your phone. And that gives you a little bit of time to insert a new habit. You're not immediately accessing your old bad habit, but actually you have a chance to do something else instead. What could be that replacement habit? This is more up to you. One thing that I used exactly for this problem of not really waking up in a good mood was to use a very old yogic technique, sankalpa, which nowadays is used quite often as self-suggestion. What I used to do is, when I was in this almost awake, half asleep, half awake, my mind is still not fully there, I'm not fully awake, but I'm slowly waking up, I would capture that moment and repeat a prayer that I was reciting internally since childhood. I am reciting internally since childhood, so I don't have to think about it. It immediately kicks in. To this day, I'm still using this method. Before I even wake up, I would say that prayer. Sometimes I would also use self-suggestion. It can be as simple as, I'm having an amazing day. That's a wonderful self-suggestion. It needs to be very simple. It needs to be in present tense, a short, simple, sweet, positive sentence that you keep repeating. You decide to use that sentence and you stay with that sentence. Why? Because in that in-between moment, we don't want to use something that we have to think about, contemplate, okay, what do I say now? It has to kick in immediately. It has been repeated so many times. If you want, you can write it down 100 times so that it's really embedded in your brain, but it immediately kicks in. And this is inserting a wonderful seed into your subconscious mind that can really change your day. So excellent habit instead of starting the day with a mobile phone. That could be a suggestion. If these don't work for you, another suggestion could be just phone is stored away, it's away from you, it's an effort to get there. If you live in a place where you can open the window and look at the sky, that will be an excellent replacement habit. Just getting out of your bed, opening the window, allowing your eyes to adjust to the lights of the day, even if it's the darker hours of the day, depending on when you wake up. Breathing in a few times, connecting with life as the first thing rather than a screen. And after this point, it's all about repetition. You just keep on going at it. There's an interval of 6 days to 169 days for a new habit to kick in. It's very subjective. It depends on how receptive your system is for that habit. It depends on your own willpower. Super subjective. So you need to keep on doing it until it becomes a second nature. You don't have to put an effort. It kicks in automatically. A good habit kicking in automatically. That's the cycle. That's the repeat situation that we're trying to create. And while we are on it, we may slip. We may have days we still repeat the old habit, and it's important to have self-compassion. Again, in my first video, I explained these old habits, these established habits, don't come from our thinking parts. They come from our subconscious parts. So we don't exactly have control over them. That's why we're using tips and tricks to, create new pathways in our brain. So important to notice that it is a process of learning for our system. We need to persist, but if there are moments of failure, we also need to love and accept ourselves. We need to have this conversation with our internal voices. Yeah, I get it. I've done it again. It happens. I'm moving on. Tomorrow is another day. I love and accept myself, even if such slips happen. All good. So we need to comfort ourselves a little bit. And at the same time, when we succeed, 1 week already and I am on it and I'm making it happen, these are also the moments that we need to celebrate. It's very, very important to acknowledge what we have achieved. I'm not saying that just to give you an inspirational pep talk. It is important for our brain to have these recognizing moments. I accept and love myself no matter what. I've done it and I'm celebrating myself. These are important messages that we want to give to our system to really make this work. Another strategy that really works wonders is to attach a good habit to an existing good habit. So for me, for example, during the pandemic times, I developed this new habit of having a nice little Turkish coffee, which is not so stimulating, which is not so strong for my system as the others. So it was a good alternative. And only 1 cup allowed per day after breakfast. So that will be my moment to really go into a very sensual experience. I would have my coffee, it smells amazing. And, I would savor every sip of it. I would be very present with it. And I would watch the seagulls while I'm having my coffee. So it was a very beautiful moment of connecting with the calm inside of me, connecting with the beautiful city I was, Istanbul back then, smelling, tasting, all of my senses were activated. And it was, that 5-10 minutes was really a beautiful start for my day. And it was kind of a, meditation on the senses for me. And it was a great kickstart. Then I started adding another good habit. Instead of getting on with my day and doing whatever I need to do, which was a very productive period, by the way. I was doing a lot of things, so I would have a to-do list, but I didn't like to go at it with a sense of urgency. I wanted to start whatever I'm doing with this inspiration, with this wider vision, with an expanded state of mind. And what works for me is learning, curiosity, stimulating my mind with interesting things, not necessarily targeted. So I would just, in the last sips of my coffee, I would either open an art magazine or an Ayurveda book or not necessarily a novel, but something more inspiring that I really don't have to do. It's not out of necessity, it's out of curiosity, it's out of inspiration. And I would never force myself to finish a chapter or read for this many hours or else. It was just really for me to get my creative and inspirational juices flowing. If I feel like a few pages, I go with a few pages. If I just want to look at beautiful art, I just look at beautiful art, beautiful photos. If I want to go deeper, I go deeper. So this way I attached a very, very beautiful habit of keeping my brain strong and a positive vibe, inspired to an already existing habit. And that made it so much easier for me to have a really, really nice start to an inspiring day. So I suggest that you have a quick review of also the very nice, good, solid habits that you have throughout the day, throughout the week, or in a monthly cycle, or whatever cycle you like, and see what can be attached, what other good habit can be attached to that. And every time you feel a success, you feel that you are on it, that this is happening for you, reward yourself. In whatever way you like. Sometimes buying a nice outfit is the way I reward myself for establishing a good routine that is really serving me. Do your thing. I hope that these little tips can help you to break repeat situations and create ones that really help you to design a spectacular life for yourself. And if you have any further suggestions on what kind of good habits or how to implement them in your life, please put it in your comments. Also, if there are any topics that you would like to have covered in Women Who Thrive, again, please put it in your comments. Thank you so much for your attention and see you in the next video.